So we're going to be doing a little fun sleuthing on the wonders of the continent down under, not Australia. No, this one is our mystery continent, Antarctica. So Antarctica welcomes you. It's the continent of mystery, the continent that no one really seems to know, but it welcomes you, right? Or does it? Seems like we've got two different realities tracking with this mysterious continent. And we're going to look into this a little bit more. So the first thing we have to do is a little bit of history. Now, we want to just stick to the facts. And first discovered, well, depends on whose history you're reading. Remember, everything we read has been filtered by those who are the victor. History is never written by the loser. History never remembers the one that was conquered, at least not in a role that is favorable. It is always to the rewards to the victor. First expedition, again, kind of depends on who you really want to talk about or who you really want to believe. And the numbers claiming rights to Antarctica, everybody. Yeah, seems like everybody's got their flag, so to speak, planted. So just to know, there is some history here, depending on how you take it and who you really go by. But this is what history records. So I thought what we might do is have a chance to take a look at some of the interesting pictures. So keep your gaze on your computer monitor and look into the camera's eye. So Antarctica, strange place. I mean, come on. I mean, you've got structures like this that go hundreds of feet up. Places that no place in the world has anything like it. We have raw minerals literally pouring out of the ground. I actually read one report that they have found one area where literally there's gold right on the freaking surface. I mean, it just goes on and on. We see pictures of Antarctica that, well, we think it's a frozen landscape, but actually, it's very much different. It has anomalies on it that just don't make sense. We see these pictures, and yet most people really have never seen Antarctica. That includes me, includes you. It's probably the least populated continent on this planet, the least explored, the least that has information coming out of. And it has weird anomalies. You have structures that shouldn't be emanating light, but they do. You have much that we have, pink sunsets. You have this very unusual continent that has mountains that range thousands of feet. You have other anomalies that, defy the understanding. And when we look at this, it is quite beautiful, but quite also, it doesn't make sense. Here's another picture. It's just incredible. They have these, as you can see, this fissure right here, and just raw materials is coming out. You don't think that nations find that? Listen, that's what a nation's value is on, its natural resources. So let's talk about some maps. The maps on this place go all over the place. You have ancient maps that show a coastline being explored that doesn't show any ice on it. You have other maps that show geographically land masses that have changed. It captures the imagination as far as we can go back. I said before, how many people are making claim to it? Everybody's making claim to it. Everybody has their piece of the puzzle. Even the Nazis. Yes, we're going to talk a little bit more about this because herein lies another piece of the puzzle. Were you aware that the Third Reich had well-established bases down there? Oh, yeah. Yeah. The question we have to ask ourselves, what did they discover? They discovered something, folks. You're about to see what I mean by this. It was well known to much of the world that Hitler was on the quest for something. A lot of this was not actually known about, but it appears it was well enough known that during the time that it was much more common knowledge about what the Third Reich and Antarctica had. A lot of mystery, a lot of folklore, a lot of conspiracy theories surrounding this whole thing. But what history does show us is that the Third Reich was very much interested in Antarctica. They were also, I found very interesting something. Now, however you want to say who wrote or directs what we get fed, but in the Raiders of the Lost Ark, they perverted the story. They continued to keep the party line that Hitler was after Hebrew artifacts and things like that. Folks, let me give you the real story. Hitler and the powers to be, they were after something else. They were after something that I think goes back way before anything else. So here's a very interesting artifact. This is your papers, as you can see, for this young man. This is his, what would be considered a passport. Are you seeing this, folks? The New Berlin. That's his home. His base is 211. Yeah. Not Munich, not the fatherland, the New Berlin. Ladies and gentlemen, I propose to you that even our most recent history has been changed and altered. There's something much more going on. The Nazis, they knew something. They were after something much deeper than the Bible, folks. Much deeper. Yeah, they were after something else. They have made a deal. They connected to something. And they were using technology that was quite ahead of the Allies. This man who still occupies history, evil, unprecedented. But he was not alone. Trust me. Let's all be real honest. Our history is full of these such men. And throughout history, human beings have flocked to these type of people. At their own destruction, they serve and worship them. Yeah. What was Hitler after? Exactly, folks. He knew something. He wasn't after the Hebrew God. He was after the Sumerian gods. And I believe he found something down there. They spent an enormous amount of resources, tremendous amount of technology the Germans had. They built specialized vehicles that it defies where the rest of the world was at. They were so much more ahead, and it was all down on this continent. They had something down there, folks. They knew something, and they established bases down there. And these are just a couple of them. They have something more. So why the military in Antarctica? Ever think about that? I do. Because it's quite fascinating when you begin to realize just how militarized Antarctica is. Oh, they'll tell you that it's a research continent. Bullshit. I'll just call it for what it is. They're lying to you as they lie to us about everything. They've been down there for a while. This is a German plane. I mean, folks, there is a boom going on down there. Every nation has a military presence, coming from Russia to the United States to you name it. We all have bases down there, heavily militarized. Good reason for it too, folks. When you begin to take into understanding what they're deploying down there is stuff that you will never believe. You don't know much about Antarctica. In fact, I can assure you, you do not hear anything that comes out of Antarctica. It is heavily quarantined, heavily censored, and that you get is out by agreement. This is a heavily militarized place, folks. And if you were to go down there, you would see that it is a virtual war zone. We know this as well. We see movements of large tanks. We find maneuvers. So I want to stop a second here and digress. I want to go to the UFO wars of the 1500s through the 1800s. Yeah, there was actually UFO wars. And what was oddly enough was that much of this was actually in print. Yeah, really is amazing when you stop and think about this. So we all know about Nuremberg, 1500s. This was a battle of unprecedented proportion. Crashed UFOs. There was a clear winner. This vehicle showed up after the war. There were many burning vehicles in the sky. The cylinders came in. They did a pretty good job of actually showing us on here. Now, oddly enough, this goes Bosnia. Bosnia again. UFOs, saucers in the sky, wars being taken place, weapons being wrote about. This is in Switzerland. Again, all during this period from about the 1500s until about the first quarter of the 1800s. In multiple places throughout Europe. Look at this. Crashed vehicles. Yeah, this one I always found really odd. You know, sometimes you wonder, does art imitate life or does life imitate art? Folks, when I saw this here, this is a craft that has crashed. Doesn't this look to you like a Stargate? I swear it does, doesn't it? But very clear that this is a huge craft that was shot down. You can see the people pointing at it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not new. We have been under attack before, and why it's wiped from the memories, I don't know. Why do we call and mock people who believe in UFOs? Our government is a liar, has been a liar. Listen, you got candidates that don't know anything but lies. We live in lies. And why are they going to tell us the truth about anything of a distant past or a recent past? We know that this took place. Here's in Switzerland, 1556. Guys, ladies, this is a fact. It has been here before. They are here. They're coming back. They're coming back in much larger numbers. We have these depictions, and you can do your own research. Huge vehicles. This is in Switzerland as well. Odd how they get their cross of their flag, huh? Coincidence? I don't know. So pay attention. These are all clues for us. Now, I want to talk about pyramids in Antarctica because this is truly bizarre. Makes no sense at all. What in the bleep is going on down there? This freaking continent has got pyramids everywhere. Everywhere, folks. And I'm not just talking one. I'm not talking two. I'm talking in the hundreds. They are everywhere. Some look natural, others don't. Listen, I propose that this mountain range that is surrounding Antarctica is not there by natural placement. I think it's actually meant to be a defensive barrier more than anything else. But we know that these pyramids are all over the continent. We know that underneath the continent there are huge plasma vents. We know that there is elements taking place underneath there that governments know about, that they're hiding. Look at these, folks. This is just a small sampling of some of them. By the way, when does the next time you ever see green snow? There is places on this continent that are tropical. Yeah, tropical. Look at this. You're going to tell me that that's a natural formed object. Kiss my butt. If these are natural, Nah, I tell you what, you can go ahead and keep on drinking the Kool-Aid, but it's not, folks. There is something down there. There is something else. There's another civilization down there. There's another complete something down there. I mean, when you start seeing these, and you can go through Google Earth and you can look at these, they're everywhere. I don't know how you can come in and say that this particular continent just happens to have an inordinate amount of pyramids that were naturally formed. Sure, I believe that. Yeah. And here's the other thing. There's cities popping up all over down there. Now, granted, they don't look like this, but folks, I was surprised to see the amount of, I don't know what you want to call it. These are cities. They're not just research bases. They're not just military bases. These are beginning to get larger and more complex. And we're seeing them point up. And you want to talk about trashing the freaking continent. You know, everyone talks about being green. Let me tell you what, the UN, the only thing they got green is your money. Because they ain't green about nothing. It's about pulling money out of your pocket. And when you see the destruction and the blatantness that how they have disrespected this pristine continent, it's criminal, folks. It is criminal. Look at this. It's been here a long time. We find places that have abandoned just petrochemicals and God knows what else. And they just left it there. It's still there. Yeah, this is what we do for Antarctica, that you'll get shot if you go there. If you go on a boat and you try to land there, good luck. You best have your will in place, and because you ain't getting the body back. You're dead, folks. Look at this. Yeah, this is nuts. So you got to ask yourself, what is going on down here? And UFOs. Heck, this planet has got UFOs all over the place. I mean, you can do Google Earth. I mean, we see some of these that are just huge. Not natural. Yeah. Who knows? We see these things. And it's very difficult to figure it out. Something going on down there. This is the most recent one that was recently taken over, I believe, Makuto Bay, I think. They're showing up all over the place down there. I have heard, and I'm trying to get pictures or some sort of other, I've gotten a couple, but I've got to get them collaborated, of explosions taking place down there. There is something going on. What? We don't know. But there is an inordinate amount of large UFOs that they have found. I'm talking, folks, we're talking some city size. So I don't know. Is there something else? You know, what I found really interesting was that the Nazis also believed that there was a hollow earth. They did. And is that what we have down there? Is this really what is taking place? I don't know. I know this, that there is something else going on. We need to be paying more attention to what this continent is about. I just brought it up because I found too many anomalies. And I began to find a common theme. This was my journey. If you've been on it, I hope it's been helpful. Maybe you can find something and we can all become a little smarter. All right. Be kind.